What's up? Welcome back to another weekly price action recap. Going to be going over the trades I took, the lessons I learned, mistakes I made, and the whole week of price action. Hopefully you can learn something. Let's get in. So these were the trades I took this week. Keep in mind I was out of town Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday I was looking at the charts, didn't have Wi-Fi so I couldn't execute. And then Wednesday I decided just not even to look at the charts. Monday I was trading, didn't take a trade. Tuesday $1,000 win, and Friday $1,000 win, ending the week up 2.34K. This was a great trading week. I followed all my rules, but wasting no time, let's get into price action. First, news. News was pretty chill this week. There's really nothing I kept in mind while trading. Okay, Monday. Coming into the day Monday, initially what I first saw was on the higher time frame, we had put in this massive SMT where ES was now reacting out of a daily bullish gap. And then from there, so that made me bullish. On top of that, we were respecting these 4-hour bullish PD rays, being this fair value gap. And we started to disrespect bearish ones. We didn't disrespect this 4-hour, but I was still bullish to this internal high as ES was also trending towards this internal high. We were also respecting both of these 2-hour bullish gaps. Actually, ES was respecting the bullish 2-hour gap. NQ had a lot of low resistance liquidity. Really no gaps. The best thing we had for a gap was this internal low with this 15-minute gap, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't really pay too much attention to this, but this was our internal low. And we did create this 15-minute gap on market open. So basically all I was looking for was either a rebalance lower to look for longs, maybe sweeping this internal low, maybe sweeping all the way down here, and then we could target the 15-minute gap and this internal high. That was my ideal scenario. I'd also be open to shorts if we pushed higher because we had all this low resistance liquidity we could target. But coming in, internet. Okay, coming into market open, we sweep our internal low very quickly, while also tapping into the 15-minute gap. So I don't think there was any Judas opportunity off this internal low. ES was also still reacting out of the 2-hour and didn't really put in any bottom wicks. But we trended up towards Asia high, I believe this is. Yeah, Asia high, which is also our internal high, which was also inside like a 30-minute gap or something like that. So now we were trending towards this, and we actually create relative equal highs. So this is not my draw. I really want to see price higher now. And we come down, and I was really open to taking a continuation out of this, out of this 5-minute rejection block. So what do we have? We tap into a key level. We now have an even stronger draw as we generated liquidity. But there are a few reasons why, we get a 1-minute inverse out of this rejection block, but there were a few reasons why I personally faded this setup right here. This setup does end up playing out, I'm pretty sure. But the reasons I faded it were, one, we were still inside this 15-minute at the time of entry. So that was one con to the setup. And two, we created these relative equal lows. We were so close to sweeping this internal low on ES and NQ. If we had swept the internal low, I totally would have been way more open to taking the setup. Granted, we don't need to resweep as we're already reacting out of this 2-hour, but all these cons basically just added up and just didn't give me enough conviction to take the trade. I think it does either break even, fully play out, whatever. But after this setup, after I fade this setup, we come up and we edge this internal high again. So what do? We generate liquidity into this, don't know what I'm saying. We generate liquidity. And then we created another 15-minute gap. We inverse this 15-minute gap, proving we want to move higher. We've had our manipulation. So now all I was looking for was a continuation into this 15-minute gap when it opens. Maybe bug in my face. Generate some liquidity, tap into the 15, and then we could see distribution to our relative equal highs. I don't believe ES also created these relative equal highs. As you can see, though, that just never happens. And when we ripped to our internal high, I got off for the day. I was done. Okay, coming into the day Tuesday, on the higher time frame, I was bearish, as obviously we're disrespecting bearish PDRAs. We started to respect bullish ones, and we created this 4 hour on the way down. So I was high time frame bearish, let it load, to this internal low in this major sell side liquidity. We were also respecting this 1 hour gap, but this 4 hour was still above. So I was short term bullish to this 4 hour to then see distribution down to our internal low and major sell side liquidity. I could have also seen a scenario where we open lower, generate liquidity, and then push up to our 4 hour. On the lower time frame, we did have this 15-minute gap, which was my condition to either see prices lower or higher. And keep in mind, I was trading from my phone on this. Well, it wasn't even trading. I didn't have Wi-Fi. I could see the charts for a bit, but I did not have enough perception to execute. But on market open, so keep in mind this 15 is now my condition to either see prices higher or lower. On market open, we rip into this 15-minute and we start, where is it? ES also sweeps the internal high. So it's now in a spot of distribution. And somewhere in here, down here, we get a 30-second inversion, which I think is a good trade. Down to maybe targeting 1-to-1 or this internal low. If I took this trade, though, it probably would have been a break even. I remember looking at the charts and was like, damn, I wish I could take this. But still, would have been a break even. And then right after this trade, we get a long setup. We create, on this manipulation move down, we create a 5-minute. My new agreed upon DOL that if we're going to see prices lower towards our major sell side, we're going to tap into this 5-minute to send prices lower. And if we want to see prices higher to this 4-hour and LRL, yeah, we have this 15-minute, which could be considered high resistance liquidity, but I feel like it's a high resistance liquidity that's defending low resistance liquidity. So I was totally open to taking longs to this 4-hour. And we get a beautiful stop hunt. And in here, we get a 30-second inversion to the upside, targeting wherever, targeting 1-to-1, this internal high, maybe even the 4-hour if you're feeling confident. You should have definitely gone break even at the 5-minute. And as you can see, this trade would have gone stop break even. The idea, I like statistical break even. But then right after that, another trade I really like. We disrespect the 5-minute. Oh, also, if you took this 5-minute long, I do not like this. I think you should have taken the 30-second down here and gone break even at the 5-minute, as this 5-minute, all you're targeting is the high resistance liquidity. Yeah, I know you could have made the argument, but basically you don't have any clear break even point, and you have to be bullish for this trade to either work. Like this trade your bias has to be bullish, or else you're getting stopped out. There's no easy break even. This 30-second, you have this 5-minute where we should hit it if we're going to be bearish or bullish. So that's why I don't like this 5-minute. But as you can see on this move down, we create a massive 15-minute rejection wick. Ooh, I kind of played a lot in advance. We create this massive 15-minute rejection wick, 5-minute rejection wick. There might have been a CISD somewhere in there, but so this 5 and 15 rejection wick is now my key level. As you can see, we open, put in a beautiful stop hunt into here. We don't get any form of IFEG. We also are reacting on ES. And ES, we didn't sweep any relative low yet, so we still have a reason to distribute on ES. So we tap into this rejection block and we get a CISD. No inversion, unfortunately, but I think this displacement candle is definitely enough to take an entry and see prices lower. So if you took this trade, I think that is a beautiful trade. Okay, coming in on Wednesday, I was still kind of continuing the same bias from the previous day, as we had now came very close to this major sell side liquidity, and we were still disrespecting bearish PDRAs and respecting bullish ones. We had these two 30-minute gaps, and we were inside a bearish 2-hour, and we had these 30-minute gaps. So basically, all I was looking for was manipulation higher off open to then maybe target this 30-minute. Or maybe if we tapped in this 30-minute first, I still wouldn't have really liked it, as we're still reacting out of this 2-hour. For me to be bullish, we kind of would have had to disrespect the 2-hour. On open, Keep in mind, I wasn't even on the charts this day. I'm kind of glad because this day was terrible. But on open, we just rip higher. We rip higher. I think we create, sorry, I have to refresh myself on this day's price action. We create a 15-minute gap, which I do think continuations out of this 15-minute gap would have been valid. As you can see, we get a little stop hunt very strong displacement out of where maybe you took a trade here, maybe you took a trade off the CISD. The reason I don't think this trade is valid, I like the idea. We generate liquidity up to this London high. I think we inverse our 1 hour gap. Trade idea on NQ looks beautiful, but ES, we created perfect, literally perfect to tick equal lows. And we're still reacting out of this 2 hour. So ES is just not in a spot of distribution and has a reason to manipulate your stop loss. And as you can see, that's exactly what ends up happening. So Wednesday, no trade day. I don't like this long. Yeah. Okay, now on Thursday, I was bullish. Why? Literally, it's obvious. We're trending upwards. And it looks like now, let me find the tool. It's now we have transitioned from our market maker sell model down here. Granted, we didn't tap into the major sell side liquidity, but we did sweep a lot of high time frame liquidity on the way down. And now it's obviously we're trending upwards now from our market maker buy model. So we're on the buy side of the curve. We're respecting bullish PD rays, disrespecting bearish ones, trending upwards towards this 4 hour that still is unmitigated. So basically all I'm looking for on market open was we have this unmitigated 1 hour. All I'm looking for, ideal perfect scenario, rebalance into the 1 hour to then target the 4 hour. If we instead opened higher into the 4 hour and got some type of entry model, say a stop hunt, IFEG down to target this 1 hour, I would have totally been open to that as well. But so simple bias. As you can see, this trade might be trade of the year. We get nice, perfect accumulation pre-market. We open, we sweep, and then we get a beautiful 30-second CISD and inversion after putting in our manipulation into our 1 hour bullish gap. Like I said, bias, this is exactly what I wanted to see coming into market open. Targeting the 4 hour, beautiful trade, rips to full take profit immediately. Let's say you missed that trade. Now we tapped into the 4 hour. On our way up, we create, I believe we create a 15-minute fair value gap. Let me mark it out. So if you took the Judas, you should be off the charts by now, but let's say you missed it. I was off the charts, but let's see. We're still respecting our 4 hour gap. We have a 15-minute, actually, I take that back. We do inverse the 4 hour gap, but ES has now just swept our major buy side liquidity that we were trending towards. So what time do we sweep that? Yeah, we were trending towards our buy side liquidity and we sweep that at 9:53. So at 9:53, we sweep that right here. So we've now generated liquidity up to our 15-minute gap. We put in, I believe we put in an SMT right here. We put in an SMT after sweeping our major liquidity. And we also have a 5-minute gap. I forgot. This is a 5-minute short. We create this 5-minute gap, and there was really no entry to target the 5-minute gap. But we get this 5-minute inversion right here. Very strong displacement, targeting the 15. And this trade does very quickly play full take profit. So beautiful shorts, beautiful longs off open, beautiful day of price action. Okay, Friday, we were kind of in a weird spot. On NQ, we were still respecting this 2 hour bearish gap, while on ES, we were very obviously bullish on ES towards this major buy side liquidity. So that's what kind of leaned me more bullish, but I still NQ looked weak. So if we weren't bullish, I'd still be open to taking shorts. We had this unmitigated 1 hour above too, and we had some random Trump news, creating a very big data low and data high. So with this data low and high, a lot of the time we sweep one and then we target the other. So that's kind of that was basically my bias coming into the day. Although ES, I did want to see longs on ES. So ideal scenario was longs on ES, sweeping the data low to then target the data high and buy side liquidity. That is not what we got. Load. On market open, we rip. Let's see, we rip towards our major buy side liquidity, sweeping our data high on both assets, tapping in to this 1 hour bearish fair value gap where we create a, we're actually about, this is, so, okay, what am I saying? We get a perfect stop hunt in our 1 hour, and now we have left our data low. What did I say I wanted to see? I wanted to see a sweep of data high, tap into our high time frame PD rate, where then we can now target our data low. So we get a 30-second inverse fair value gap right here, and I think this is a great trade. I actually didn't take this trade. I took it on ES as we were about to create this 5-minute gap at 940, and I thought this was our agreed upon DOL. If we want to see prices higher, we're going to tap it. If we want to see prices lower, we want to tap it. So I wanted to wait for this 5 minutes to get created, and on this candle close, the 5 minute was created, and this was a very strong candle close. CISD, maybe a little inversion in there, but I took this trade and got out. I got out literally to the tick. This was the exact trade I took, and I got out right at the tick. So a little lucky, but would have been break even nonetheless. But I do think NQ might have been the better trade, but those are my reasons for fading it. Okay, now for the lessons I learned this week. I think this week was the first week in a while where all 5 days I followed my trading plan and like exactly, and my psychology was to the T. And as you can see, I made $2,000. A big mindset shift I had this week too. The mindset shift was focusing to stay alive tomorrow and to preserve your capital. When you're trading, you get so caught up on getting the payout, passing the account, and you focus so much on the day-to-day P&L. You just need to focus on the process. You need to focus on, you will get the payout if you follow your rules over a period of time. And it's not about the daily P&L and chasing that daily P&L, because you're not going to get it in one day. You're going to get it in small chunks, and it's going to compound over time. And what stops that compounding over time is one big loss. So if you can preserve your capital and just trade for the next day, that mindset shift really helped me in not taking bad setups. Because what is a bad setup? A bad setup is just risking your capital for the next day, and all you want is to have either the same balance or a little bit higher balance next day, and you'll eventually get your payout. So that mindset shift helped me get my psych, and as you can see, it obviously worked as I took great trades this week according to my system. Well, hopefully you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck trading next week.